Hey everyone, today's video is brought to you by Verve, spelled VRV, made by the team over at Crunchyroll. It's home to your favorite channels, and it gives you a chance to discover more content from the creators that we all know and love, and support their newest creations. Over on this new super combined service, you get Crunchyroll, allowing you to watch My Hero Academia Season 2 subtitled, and you can also go to Funimation and watch Attack on Titan Season 2 dubbed! You just download the Verve app down below with the link, and it'll give you a 7-day free trial to their service. If you want to know about all of the different programs that this service has, then I highly recommend getting your 7-day free trial through our link so that you can look at everything that's available to you. How did Hal Jordan die and redeem himself in the 90s? Whatever happened to the original Parallax? These are questions that fans of today's comics don't really know the answer to, and I hope to answer that question within this video. In order to help you understand what's going on, we're going to have to recap a little of the previous storylines. We do have a video for the big turn into a villain moment for Hal Jordan, but if you don't want to go watch that, we're gonna let you know. Now, this story doesn't begin with Final Night. No, it begins with the death of Superman. In this story, Superman died and he was replaced by multiple fake Supermen, the reign of the Supermen. Of these was Hank Henshaw, acting as the Cyborg Superman. And as a part of his plan, which involved Mongol, they destroyed Coast City in an attempt to turn it into a giant engine. And the purpose of that was to turn Earth into a spaceship known as the War World. Hal Jordan returned and he defeated Mongol, while Superman returned and defeated Cyborg Superman. But the aftermath was that the city was still in ruins. Hal Jordan's home, friends, family, and life were gone. He tried to grieve and use the powers of the Green Lantern's ring to revive and repair his broken life. He was so full of his willpower to accomplish his goal that he did in fact create a fully functional construct of the Lost City. But the Guardians turned off his ring and told him to report to Oa for punishment. The Green Lanterns are not supposed to use their rings for personal gain. This is when something snapped in Hal Jordan's mind, and he decided that if he could get enough power out of the main battery, then he could fully recreate Coast City and it would live forever. He went to Oa where the Green Lantern Corps tried to stop him, but then he showed them why he was the greatest Green Lantern of them all, as he defeated each and every Green Lantern on Oa. He then went to the power battery and he freed Sinestro from that prison and murdered him. He then entered the battery, siphoning off all of the power that he could get his hands on, becoming the villain Parallax. After this, a new Green Lantern was made, the last of the Green Lanterns, Kyle Rayner. Hal went on to become a massive force of destruction within the DC universe, trying to fix everything any way that he could. And in the end, he was defeated and sent off to find his own revenge as he chased the Cyborg Superman. But while he was off doing his own thing, Earth was being threatened by another enemy. A threat so great that it threatened to end everything. Up in the sky, the sun begins to fade, and the night begins to fall on Earth early. As everyone looks up, they see a spaceship covering the sun as it crash lands into Metropolis. The pilot climbs out with Superman and the Legion of Superheroes standing there, asking what their purpose is. The pilot points up to the sky, speaking in a strange foreign language. So it's Saturn Girl who telepathically connects everyone to hear the warning. The world is about to die. The Sun Eater is coming. Superman gathered up the heroes and it was all explained. The Sun Eater is a dark shape up in space that is estimated to be over 1 million miles across. It absorbs all light and energy in its path, and in its path right now is the sun. At the speed it's going, they have less than 6 hours before it covers the sun, and thus, the heroes devised a plan. They sent Mr. Miracle up into space with his boom tubes, and some help. They tried to move it out of the path of the sun, but at the last second it didn't work, and they were all teleported safely away from the Sun Eater. As the second plan was enacted, the Green Lantern made a bubble that every hero blasted their powers into. The hope was to create a heat source as strong as the sun to redirect the Sun Eater. But it was so strong that it instantly took all of that heat and continued on its path. With that, the heroes of the universe all failed, and the Sun Eater devoured our very sun, leaving us in the cold and the dark. Realizing that it was the end of the world, the first person to join the fight was Lex Luthor. Superman and Lex shook hands, agreeing to put aside their differences to figure out the answer to this. The world didn't even care, as the snowfall began around it. All around the world, the heroes tried their best to fight against the cold, the night, and the darkness. But how do you fight these things? Ray was pushing himself to the limit to keep everyone warm, and Wonder Woman was trying her best to rescue people out of fires that were raging out of control. And Batman went to Paris to stop Vandal Savage, because some of the villains saw this as a chance to get what they finally wanted. But things just got worse and worse. Because without the sun, Superman's powers were fading and our heroes were losing. Another plan was to be enacted, one that required Lex and the team to get all of the information that they could from the Sun Eater, and they sent Kyle Rayner up to it with a full suit of construct armor. They needed to know, was the sun even still there? What was the Sun Eater doing to it? Was there even hope? So once he was telepathically linked to all of the scientists, Kyle headed up to it. He entered the black abyss that was the Sun Eater, and he began to fall. Miles upon miles with no end in sight, nothing but darkness. And the black void was draining him faster than anything he had ever seen before. But once he reached the center, he saw something. Hope, in the form of the remaining sun. But what can they do with it? Mystical means began to arise, something to save the day. It began with Hell offering to take over the Earth, save it from its death, turn it into the new Hell. And then Spectre went to Gaia for answers, only to be told that it was God's wish, and he was to do nothing. While Zatanna used her reverse magic to teleport the individuals who can give heat around the world, saving who they could, Superman accepted what's to come. He went to see his parents. There wasn't any answer on how to fix this. This was the end of days as the heroes proved why they are the heroes, spending those last moments saving everyone. But while this was happening, while the Earth was losing hope and falling to the end of the world, there was another conflict going on, one that was long overdue. Out at the source wall, at the very edge of the galaxy, the wall that keeps people from crossing galaxies and seeking ultimate power, stood one lone cyborg Superman. He had fled throughout the galaxy trying to find his ultimate power while staying ahead of one man, Hal Jordan, Parallax, a being of apparently limitless power. With nowhere left to run, Hal Jordan finally found him. They exchanged a few words, but finally Hal buries his powers into the cyborg Superman, burning a hole in his chest. Cyborg Superman attempted to fight back, but Hal used the souls of every dead member of Coast City to eradicate their murderer. He made constructs for each and every citizen, and they buried Cyborg in their revenge, finally putting an end to this saga of his life. And with one of his goals finally achieved, he stood before the wall questioning what to do now. In front of him are the ancient gods, each of whom have sought great power, and they've become a part of this wall as punishment, a warning to the others to stop here. To even touch this wall will make you a part of it forever. And Hal reaches out, placing his hand upon it, and once nothing happens, he raises his head. Why are you here? Behind him is Kyle Rayner, the only living Green Lantern, and he asks Hal Jordan if he's ready to come back. He explains the situation and that he used his ring to find Hal, to ask him this question. Will he come to save Earth? They've tried everything, and he's Kyle's last hope. Hal turns his back and Kyle continues. Earth is your home. In an even larger sense than Coast City was, you can't turn your back on it, Hal. Hal looks at him. I don't know. Kyle tells him, you need to be a hero again, Hal. And Hal tells him, go. And he teleports him away. Become a hero again? Save the day? Is this something that Hal Jordan can do? Is this something that Hal even wants at this point after everything that he's been through? The first thing he does is teleports himself over to the Sun Eater to see how bad the situation really is. And he realizes that this may even be beyond his power. He decides to ask the question, is he redeemable? He goes to his friends, all former Green Lanterns long retired due to various events, and the first one that he sees is Guy Gardner, now going by the name The Warrior. He asks him, why did you keep going when everyone told you to stop being a Green Lantern? And Guy tells him that he did it because he knew that he was supposed to be a hero. It didn't matter what anyone else thought of him. It means doing the right thing no matter the odds. Hal stood up thanking him, and Guy tells him, you gotta do what you gotta do. His next stop was to visit John Stewart, who is currently crippled. John tells him that he needs answers for everything that Hal has done. But Hal didn't come to give him those answers. He came to use his powers to heal John and allow him to walk again. He then teleported over to Oliver Queen's grave, where he left flowers for his former friend, and he used his power to reach beyond the grave for Oliver. He teleported to Carol Ferris to say his goodbyes and see if she even cared for him after everything that happened, and they shared a passionate kiss from which he vanished. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor had come up with another plan. With everything happening to the sun, it was going to go supernova, soon destroying everything including itself. So he decided to invent a device that would help, and he had multitudes of it built with the help of the Flash. The problem is that it requires the use of the power from the supernova to actually work, and they're going to need precise timing. The plan is to use Kyle Rayner and his shields to go up there and activate everything, but at that moment he is teleported away and no one knows where. He was actually teleported to Hal Jordan, who was telling him that he'll help. With no other answer, Superman volunteers to pilot the ship and help end this finally. Hopefully, the supernova will actually recharge his powers quickly and he can survive the attack. With no other plan feasible, he steps aside to write a goodbye letter to Lois. Except, instead of Superman taking off in one big final moment, the ship launches without him. Superman runs out demanding who just launched out there, and he discovers that it's a child in the Legion of Superheroes. He decided to do this because Superman means too much to too many people and he can't die again. Everyone panics trying to figure out how to stop Pharaoh, this poor kid, from ending his life. And at that moment, Hal arrives at Kyle's side. I'm here to help. Everyone is stunned. This is the man who killed every Green Lantern, tried to alter timelines and fix things, as he put it. He tells them that he can fix everything, fix the sun, and Batman stops him. Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you? A chance to recreate a world to suit you? That's not how this is going to work, Parallax. You're not a god. Hal looks at him. Not the harsh god that you believe in, I'm glad to say, Batman. You want me to leave the pain and suffering this disaster's brought to mankind? Fine, but I will go heal the planet. I will restore its life and beauty, and that's all I'm going to do. On my oath! Superman holds out his hand. I can live with that. I've always hoped you'd come back, Hal. As Hal vanishes, he tells Superman, I'm not coming back, Superman. I'm just setting things right. It's all I ever wanted to do. Up in space, the sun goes supernova, and Pharaoh says his final words, apologizing to Sparks that he never gave back her Legion ring, and he closes his eyes as it's all over. Only to sit surprised when he's sitting in the giant hand of Hal Jordan, who caught him. Can't have you dying, son. I know how important rings can be. He threw Pharaoh to safety, and then he decided to end this. He held out his right hand and he began to absorb the Sun Eater in the brightest day. And then he held out his left hand, absorbing more. In the darkest night, no evil, Hal gritted his teeth as the Sun Eater fought back, but he pushed through it. No evil shall escape my sight. And as he took it all in, he let it all out. The oath that he hadn't said in so long, his code to live by, the power of the Green Lanterns. Let those who worship evil's light beware my power! But before he could conclude it, a burst of green energy shot out of him. Everyone on Earth saw the Green Lantern's light as it powered the sun back up. It destroyed the Sun Eater, and it saved the day. The sun was back and everyone was smiling, and Superman landed on the roof of the Daily Planet where Batman stood. Beautiful, isn't it, Bruce? Seems like forever since I've watched the sun rise. Yes, I know what you mean. Too bad Hal couldn't see it. I wish it was me instead. But at least he did the right thing. At least he redeemed himself in the end. Don't make a martyr out of a murderer, Superman. One shining moment doesn't redeem Parallax. He admitted that he hadn't changed, remember? People don't always notice when they've changed, Batman. I'll always think Hal died a hero. Too bad that isn't how he lived. Batman and Superman are the world's finest heroes, and the rest will follow the lead of one or the other. They are as different as night and day, and that is what helps them guarantee the words that seem to hand in the new light. In the brightest day, in the darkest night, no evil shall escape my sight. And that concludes Final Night, the redemption of Hal Jordan. But I want to know in the comments down below, do you feel that Hal Jordan redeemed himself? Do you consider him a hero at this point? Because Hal Jordan has one of the most interesting turns as a superhero. He went from hero to true villain and back to hero eventually, but the journey is only just now beginning. If you want to know the next chapter in Hal Jordan's life, because he does come back in Green Lantern Rebirth, not the DC Rebirth version, but the original 2004 launch, let me know in the comments down below. I feel like we should perhaps bridge the gap all the way up to when we started doing Green Lantern content. Maybe even redoing The Blackest Night, giving you guys a much more in-depth version of that storyline. It's one of my all-time favorites in comic books. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to keep up to date on what's going on with comic books, and I'll see you next time, right here.